Good morning. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show that's dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, this is the show that I do usually at the beginning of the week called This Week, which basically highlights what the content will be on this channel for the week. A little explanation, I just basically tell you what each show I'm doing will be doing this week, and maybe some announcements for other stuff that's upcoming in future weeks or future months. So anyways, without further ado, we'll cut right into it. So the first show that comes out this week after this episode will be tonight around 8 o'clock. I will release my Ben's Album Challenge, which for those of you who do not know what that is, one of my subscribers, Ben, got together with me, and what he does is he finds an album that I may know a little bit about, but not necessarily, and he gives me that as a challenge to review, and I have a couple weeks to do it. I usually take 2 weeks to do this because I don't have time to sit and listen to one particular album 4 or 5 times, which is what I kind of need to do to give I think an accurate kind of appraisal of the album. So this week's album will be The Angels' Face to Face, which is kind of funny because the first album in my series that's coming up is going to be Barclay James Harvest's Face to Face. And it's just a coincidence. It wasn't planned or anything. Okay, so the next show that comes during the week is my Monday night look back at a classic rock album. And that's pretty much self-explanatory. I have an album that I pretty much look back and talk about for the entire episode, mentioning all of the normal information that you'd want to know about an album, plus who is on it, what the music was like, how it impacted me, all those kind of things. And the album I've chosen this week will be this one, AC/DC's Highway to Hell. It's been on the agenda to do the last couple of weeks, but it's kind of taken a backseat a couple times for different reasons, but by no means is it less than those albums. It's definitely a top shelf album, one of their best, probably arguably their best Bon Scott era album, maybe their best album of all time. It depends on what you like. The funny part about the album is that most of the radio hits I liked early on, but I don't listen to them much now. It's a lot of the deep cuts there. This album has a lot of really good deep cuts. The next show up is our Wednesday night favorites, which basically usually is a top 25 of something, or a top 25 instrumental, or a top 10 of this, or a top 10 favorite songs, or maybe I rank some albums. This week we're going with a top 10. I decided to go on a theme that I did not too long ago, where I did my top 10 favorite songs of the solo albums from Kiss. Well, this time I'm going to do my top 10 favorite songs from these guys as solo artists. The Beatles. Yes, there they are. So it won't include any Beatles songs. It'll only include stuff that each of them is released individually and why they're my favorites. I thought maybe I might not know enough about their solo stuff to do it, but there's enough good songs by all 4 of them that I can come up with a list here. And that's what I'm going to do. So the Beatles. Okay, so the next album out, or the next show out, will be my Friday night live experience, which I don't have a prop for because I'm not doing an album. I'm going to be doing another concert. I decided, based on Ben's Album Challenge of the Michael Schenker group, that I was going to do something live by UFO because so many people talk about how good they are live. So I wanted to do something to highlight that. Now, I don't know a lot about UFO, so this will be a kind of a first time for me to do anything that I'm not at least familiar with. So I want to see how that's going to fly, and so we'll do that. That'll come up Friday night. It'll be UFO live, and I have to yet pick a venue. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I think it'll be interesting no matter what. They're a quite popular band with certain hard rock and heavy metal fans. Okay, and then the last show of the week, which is a second part of a 2-part episode. I was wondering what that was. It said Bill. Anyway, so if you watch the first part of the series, Part A, it's first of all, the show is called Rock Legends, and on the show, what I'm going to be doing is talk about the musical history of a particular rock legend who I quite like. I'm not going to give anything about their personal life or who they had conflicts with. I may mention something in direct, how it is directly affecting that particular situation at the time, but I don't really want to get into that. It's not really my forte. I just want to talk about the music. So if you tuned in last week, you saw Part A, which was on Steve Howe's career in Yes, what he contributed to the band, what his musical expertise was in the band, maybe some of his soloing that he did, the albums he was on, of course, those kind of things. So we're going to do something similar this week for Part B, but instead of being about his career in Yes, it'll be about his solo stuff. Now, I don't know that he actually toured solo. This particular album is with Paul Sutton, sorry, who I don't know anything about. So this album I got yesterday. I seen it a few times, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get this and see what it's like. I have a feeling it's mostly classical, though. I have a feeling that's what it's going to be, but we'll see. It's going to be part of my haul this week too, because it belongs in the haul list. But so it'll be Steve Howe's solo albums. Now, at one time, I owned a ton of Steve Howe solo albums, about 5 or 6 of them, but they were all LPs. And so when I left, my sister collected those as part of the ransom to get rid of me. And so, sorry, Grace. I guess I shouldn't be back in India like that. My book. Anyways, I think my chair is a little bit too close to the bookshelf here and CD, and I just got clubbed. Anyways, so we'll be doing that, his solo stuff. Now, like I said, I did have quite a bit, and my sister got that. So now I'm going to recollect his stuff. I just haven't gotten around to anything yet. You can only collect so much stuff at a time, right? Otherwise, you'd be broke. So there's quite a few of his stuff that I'm a little bit familiar with. So I want to go through his career as the albums. I may have to make a huge amount of notes here for this and just talk about Steve Howe's solo stuff. And then the following episode, which will come out the third week, will be Part C, which will be his stuff with Asia and GTR and any other stuff that he may have contributed to, and I'm sure there's lots of it. And so that should cover Steve Howe for 3 episodes. I would hope so. 3 hours worth of Steve Howe. I love it, but it's not for everybody. So that will come out on Rock Legends on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. It'll be a live stream, so hopefully we can see you there. Okay, coming out next. Also, a couple of things that aren't going to happen this week, but are upcoming. The first one will be my series, which will come out December. And that series is, for those of you who are unaware of it, is progressive rock albums from the 1980s. So I will be just do 31 albums that came out in the 1980s from progressive rock bands. The parameters for that are pretty simple. They can be from bands I'm well established with, or bands that I have some establishment with, or bands that I know of but haven't really listened to, or bands that I know nothing of and haven't listened to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 31 albums. one per band though, no more than one per band. I won't do like multiple albums from one band. It'll just be one album from each band. And I'm just going to do a once-off listen to. I'll talk about the album, what I've seen, what I've discovered about it, and then talk about the music based on just one listen. And the reason I'm only going to do one listen is because I want people to see that for me, progressive rock isn't about oh, I love that album first time I heard it. That doesn't work for me with them. That works okay with hard rock and sometimes with some heavy metal albums, and even with some rhythm and blues or a lot of other genres, pop genres. A lot of those, that kind of happens quite a bit with them. Doesn't happen much with progressive rock. Normally what happens with progressive rock is that one of two things: either I'm somewhat indifferent to the album and I'm saying, wow, that's this, or I may hear certain things that I like, but I don't necessarily love it. A lot of cases I don't like it at all. But I've discovered that progressive rock requires, it's like scotch. You have to drink it, and it's an acquired taste. It takes a while for it to sit with you, and that's part of the reason why I love progressive rock so much, is that every time you listen to the album, something new comes up. And this is quite true with a lot of progressive rock albums. So that's basically what I'm going to do. So I'll do a one-time listen of the album, and then I'll talk about what I heard, and I'll talk about the people on the album who participated in the album, the members, if you prefer, the group, and about where it was made and when it was made and how it was made and that kind of stuff. And I've already done one episode, so that'll come out December 1st. And then from there on, I'll just add episodes as we go, because I'm going to do this kind of randomly. It won't be alphabet. I was going to do it alphabetically, and then I thought, no, because you might end up with 2 or 3 groups in a row that you're quite familiar with, but you may not know those albums, but you're quite familiar with. I kind of want to spread it all out so that you'll get some of that, and some groups that I've had a little familiarity with, and some groups that I've heard of but don't know anything else, and then others I don't know anything about. And I want to kind of space it out so it's a little more interesting that way. So I'm just doing it randomly. I'll just pick one of the albums each day and do it. And that's the way I'm going to go about it. This isn't about favorites or not favorites, because to be honest with you, I've never heard any of these albums before, so it would be very difficult to rate them as which one's my favorite, which one isn't. I'd have to do that all at the end, and then if I did it all at the end, I might not remember everything that happened at the beginning. So this is just about discovering some stuff that I've never heard before. And hopefully, part of this show for me is not just for me to discover new stuff, but also for you to discover new stuff. There may be stuff here that other people know quite well, or they may not know at all. And I think it's important that we keep moving ahead. And progressive rock is just that, progressive. You know, I thought progressive rock ended in the 70s. And I've discovered since starting this exercise that it didn't. It may have ended in North America, because that's the way North Americans are. We move from one genre to another, and they're not so much like that in other parts of the world. They tend to support the kind of music they like quite a bit. And a lot of progressive rock just went overseas, that's all. And a lot of overseas bands. So there'll be some of that here too. I don't want to put too much non-English on here, because first of all, I don't speak those languages, so it's very hard for me to follow what they're saying. But also, I just want to, I'm catering more to an English audience, I guess. Not that I intended that. That's just because I speak English. That's just the way it tends to be. So anyways, that's what's coming up on my series for December. Other projects. There was one other project, and just give me a second to remember it. Oh yeah, I was going to do something with hard rock bands. I'm not sure if it's going to be an episode, or maybe a weekly show, or possibly a series that might come after this next one. I'm not sure, but I want to give some attention to that now too, because not that I've ignored that because I'm doing AC/DC this week and stuff, but I've been trying to focus more on the progressive elements because I'm the prog monster. That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so I think that's it for this week. I hope that you will find something here that you enjoy. If you do, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back tonight with Ben's album challenge. And we'll see you then. So have a good night. Bye.